Good evening and thank you for joining us. A young Dryden man is dead and OPP have laid murder charges against another man following a tragic incident in that community early yesterday morning. OPP responded to an apartment building on King Street where the victim, 20-year-old Cypress Lawson, was found with life-threatening injuries. He was transported to hospital but didn't survive. Officers later arrested 23-year-old Samuel Schmanka, also of Dryden, at a business on Government Street. Schmanka is charged with second-degree murder and remains in custody. He'll appear in court next Thursday. Dryden OPP are asking anyone with information regarding the incident to contact police or Crime Stoppers. The Elizabeth Fry Society has unveiled new transitional housing spaces for women and gender-diverse people. It's thanks to the Thunder Bay DSAB, which received provincial funding to support the project. It's meant to help fill the gap in supportive housing. Vasilios Bellows reports.
The Elizabeth Fry Society was able to reveal a new transitional housing project on Friday, thanks to some help from the Thunder Bay DSAB.
There weren't spaces like this available for women and gender diverse people. Many of the programs were geared only towards men.
The close to $220,000 from the DSAB was provided through the provincial government's Social Services Relief Fund. The 7-bedroom transitional house will provide 24-hour support to people exiting corrections, living in active addiction, those experiencing homelessness, and people at the risk of criminalization. Though Elizabeth Fry unveiled the home on Friday, construction and renovations wrapped up in January.
And are really looking to have a stable place to live. They need that sort of wraparound supports.
Lindsay Martin is the executive director of Elizabeth Fry and stresses that there has been a gap for these types of supports for women and gender diverse people. With this new transitional home, an important step to addressing that.
Having that sort of circle of care and that support is really necessary for functioning and to be able to, create more autonomy in living spaces and allows them to move on.
Residents of the home will also have a dedicated reintegration worker to support them during their stays. Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland was on hand during the announcement and recognized all those that made the project possible.
We've had a chronic underfunding of this problem in Thunder Bay in particular, and to be able to see the hard work that so many people have put in to address this issue come to fruition and be able to be a part of that, however small it may have been, is very satisfying for me.
The transitional housing units are also conveniently located next to various social services, such as the library, downtown Fort William, and Norwest Community Health Center. Elizabeth Fry officials say with the success being seen with this project, the plan is to continue to look for other opportunities to establish more transitional housing. Vasilios Bellows, TVT News.
Kevin Holland was also at Sleeping Giant Provincial Park today for a significant funding announcement to improve the campground's infrastructure. $1.7 million will be used to replace the park's backup generator and electrical systems and upgrade the sanitary dump and fill station. The announcement saw Holland joined by officials from the park located on the Sibley Peninsula. The infrastructure improvements are expected to make the park more environmentally friendly and improve the visitor experience. Holland says investing in parks in this region is crucial to supporting the area's economy.
As families, get out and they're slowly getting back used to, post-COVID environment. So to have the parks and the opportunity here for them to get out together and we see them coming back then. So for the tourism for Thunder Bay, parks are a vital component of that. And so any investment that we make into our park system is going to benefit the whole region.
This announcement was part of a provincial commitment to invest more than $41 million into Ontario Parks infrastructure over 2 years. Heading into the weekend, there are renewed concerns at Queen's Park about hospital staffing levels. We're learning more about emergency rooms in the province that will have to close. Siobhan Morris reports on that.
It's become a familiar roll call. A number of hospitals north of London say they'll have to temporarily close their ERs this weekend. They don't have enough staff to get by. Seaforth Community Hospital and the Wingham and District Hospital are on the list.
A lot of this could have been prevented.
Northern and rural hospitals found out only yesterday funding was being renewed to bolster staffing through the summer. The NDP health critic says it's an answer they needed in February or March.
Now hospitals are scrambling most of the hospitals that reach out to me all have vacant slots, like where they're not going to be able to maintain 24/7 in an emergency room.
With a thinning pool of doctors and nurses with free time to plug gaps. On another day where the mercury is expected to sizzle past 30 degrees, Ontario is still playing catch-up on keeping residents of long-term care cool. It was a pledge the Premier made during our first pandemic summer.
These poor, vulnerable people, the elderly people, are sitting there, and what can they do? The stuff like this bothers me.
The government passed legislation to require air conditioning in all residents' rooms by June 2022. There are still a few holdouts. Of Ontario's more than 600 long-term care homes, 6 don't have AC in every resident's room yet. The government says 4 of them are installing AC right now. The other 2 have to undergo major overhauls, including to their electrical systems.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Today was the official kickoff and flag raising at City Hall for this year's Pride Month. Community members and city officials gathered to celebrate and reaffirm Thunder Bay's commitment to diversity and inclusion.
The flag flying at City Hall and at the school boards and at the police station and more places just shows that our community is welcoming and loving to all.
Speakers from Thunder Pride and the Rainbow Collective offered messages of hope and emphasized the importance of allyship. City councillors and other local dignitaries were also in attendance, showing solidarity with the 2S LGBTQ+ community as part of the biggest crowd yet to gather for the annual flag raising.
You know, there are cities that are restricting access to flying the pride flag in this province alone. So to have the city recommit themselves and reaffirm their support for the queer, trans, and two-spirit communities means the world.
A schedule of this month's Pride events can be found on the websites of both Thunder Pride and the Rainbow Collective. The Port of Thunder Bay saw plenty of traffic last month with a big increase of grain and coal shipments, but a drop in potash and general cargo compared to May of last year. More than 1 million metric tons of cargo was shipped last month, with the majority of that being grain, which totaled 889 tons. That's 50% higher than May of 2022 due to the massive grain harvest in the prairies last fall, which is the 3rd largest in history. Potash shipments were at a 30-year high last year due to a port out west having some issues, but that problem has been resolved, leading to a 70% drop in potash coming here this season. Also last month, there was a potential strike action by local grain handlers, which fortunately was averted. Port CEO Tim Heaney spoke about what kind of repercussions a strike could have caused.
Well, there hasn't been a grain strike in a long time in Thunder Bay, but it's people still talk about it though, so it leaves a bad impression on the prairies with the farmers about Thunder Bay. So it's really good to see that it was settled. It could be a reputational risk for the port.
Heaney adds the resolution of the labor dispute was very important and that Port of Thunder Bay is back to being the reliable corridor it's always been. Graduates of Confederation College's practical nursing program took part in a traditional pinning ceremony yesterday, and they also cited the Nightingale Pledge together.
And devote myself to the welfare of those committed to my care.
The graduation event was held at the Chanterelle. Many of the grads received their pins from family or friends who supported them along the way. The ceremony serves as a symbolic welcome into the nursing profession. 30 students graduated from the 2-year program at the college, which had to be held online for most of their first year.
They started in COVID and it was really, really hard. This ceremony really it identifies our students as graduates of the college.
It feels fantastic. Yeah, it was a long haul and lots of hard work, especially it being COVID during the first year. So I'm happy to be graduated and start working.
Over the past 20 years, nearly 1,000 practical nursing students have graduated from Confederation. The college's main graduation ceremonies in Thunder Bay will take place next Friday at the Community Auditorium. Residents got a sneak peek today at the upcoming Snowbirds performances in the city as the world-famous aerobatic team held a practice flight over the noon hour. The Snowbirds pilots tested out their maneuvers in advance of this weekend's big events at Marina Park. The CF-18 jets will perform 30-minute shows starting at noon on Saturday and Sunday as part of the city's 40th annual Kite Festival. There will also be a meet and greet with the pilots at 2:30 tomorrow at Marina Park. Admission is free. City officials note there's limited parking at Prince Arthur's Landing. They're asking residents to park downtown or at the Heart of the Harbor Parkade and walk down to the waterfront for the air shows.